Alright, so before I even start the review, I feel that I should go over what this game is. Stacklands is a new take on what's typically called the city management genre, and while this isn't exactly what it is, it's an incredibly close analogy. It takes this genre and adds the new concept of making everything into cards. And at first, this aspect looks like it would genuinely make the game easier. However, it adds a level of complexity to the game that I really enjoy, and makes it different from all other resource management games in this genre. As with other city or resource management games, you start with a few resources that you'll use throughout the game as the foundation of your other creations. In this game, as with many others, these are wood, stone, and berries. These are consistently used from crafting a basic spear to making bricks and planks to create much bigger projects, even being used in the temple. So, how does this game play? How well does it keep your attention? And most importantly, is it a game worth its price? Keep watching in order to find out, and please like and subscribe to help me grow. I hope y'all enjoy the video. So, what are the first things that stick out to you when you get in? Well, at least for me, I immediately notice that the game adds things as you're playing like they're drip feeding you. The pacing seems perfect, where as soon as you understand what you're doing, the game adds another smaller element for you to understand, and while there's no tutorial to genuinely explain things to you, it's this that shows you early on how the game's going to work. With this mainly hands-off, but still slightly involved style of teaching you new things in the game. The music is another thing that really stands out to me early on. It's not the most intense or harmonic thing in the universe, but it sincerely is a good soundtrack, and I enjoy it throughout my playtime. The way the game looks can be deceiving, though. I know it's easy to see a cutesy art style in cards and think the game's going to be flown through. However, even on the normal mode, if you go 15 to 20 seconds without paying attention, it's possible that's a person you won't be able to feed that moon. The amount of combinations you can make with the basic items is a lot. That should be obvious. But what might not be so obvious is when you get to the selling, and deciding when to use these resources and when to sell. Especially once the game starts throwing enemies at you. Something small like a rabbit certainly isn't anything to worry about, but once multiple bears start being opened from packs and portals start spawning, you really have to be careful. It's this mix of complex yet understandable gameplay that I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10 in overall gameplay. One of the things that sticks out to me while I play is both the lack of help, but also the fact that you do still get that slow drip of content that keeps you hooked. You might feel like your gameplay is getting slow, and then you discover how to make a game-changing card and it speeds back up again. But if you do genuinely feel stuck, you could choose to grind it out, and you could definitely have a long-lasting game that way. Add this to the fact that within all this, you have to very carefully choose when to have offspring, or it could actually end up killing your population. You constantly have to pay attention to all your resources, and while I enjoy this aspect, it's not something you should underestimate. And all of a sudden, you answered a text and forgot to pause, and you can't do anything but hope your villager gets that berry out of that bush just fast enough. Now, the game does let you pause, so that shouldn't scare you from buying it, but it should be in your mind before you do. The game does a really good job of balancing this level of micromanagement, but not making it overwhelming, with a huge focus on your resources and time. It's also crucial to say that there's a bunch of just random combinations that help you last second when you're struggling, the salad being an example of mine. I only had 5 out of 6 food necessary for a day, but ended up making one of these with an apple and a berry on accident, and it saved me from missing that last second food. This game keeps my attention well enough using all these factors to where I actually don't need to listen to music or watch YouTube, despite being one of those people that always needs background, and for that, the game definitely deserves props. This obviously isn't to say the game wouldn't go better with a personal playlist on Spotify or Apple Music, but it isn't necessarily needed. However, this is definitely one of those games where you have to be in the mood to play it. Whereas with some games, it doesn't matter how I feel, the game is enjoyable. I have to be in a very specific mood to truly enjoy this game. And if for some reason I'm not in the mood, I might play the game for 10 or so minutes before getting bored. This aspect is not helped once you get to the later game and it gets more grindy and repetitive. Overall, the game does manage to get your attention and hook you, but at least for me, it doesn't truly keep you hooked. And it's because of this, I'll give it a 5 out of 10 in overall engagement. On to the arguably most important aspect of any game. Is it worth the price? Well, for $7.99, Stacklands is a really cheap game compared to most others, but with the gameplay not lasting as long as typical games, it depends on the person. Me personally, though, I would definitely recommend it, especially if you do end up catching it on sale. While no, it isn't something you could pour hundreds of hours into, at least for me, it is something where you could play for anywhere from 5 to 10 hours, delete it, then come back to it in a couple of months and repeat this process. This is one of the biggest reasons it's entirely worth the price for me. This, not necessarily replayability, but the ability to come back later if you're in a game funk and no other game is hitting the spot right then, is an amazing aspect of the game and one that I love. I would say this game fits at about an 8 out of 10 for price. So, how's the game overall? Well, it's definitely one that I'd highly recommend, especially right now when it's on sale. But even off sale, I would recommend it. Sure, it's short, but it is a lot of fun, and a game that I truly enjoyed. It's a well-rounded game that doesn't try to be more than it is, and that's something I really appreciate. It sticks true to what it is as a game, and it makes the game better, and just feels smoother as a whole. I'd say this game, taking all aspects into account, is a 6.7 out of 10. It isn't going to be the best game ever, obviously, but it is one that should be played by a lot of people, and one that I feel will be enjoyed by most. I highly recommend this game to anyone that's looking for a new game to pour just a little bit of time into, especially for people that maybe don't have a whole lot of time. If you're only free for 30 minutes or something around that time, highly recommend it because it doesn't require a lot of your time. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I plan on having a lot more videos like this come out in the future with a lot of different types of games, along with the gameplay videos as usual, of course. I hope to see you next time, and if you do manage to download and play the game, or if you already have, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it and your opinions on my review. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!